Welcome to Zion Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. RUTO can't hide anymore. Yvonne Okwara really doing Lord's work. And this time round, she decided to go to the current head of state bare knuckle live on camera.
31 lives lost. And just a fortnight ago, that number was 20. That is at least 51 Kenyan lives in a short space of 2 weeks. And looking back at the last 4 weeks, there have been protests at least once a week. The most recent one being Sabasaba. That is just 3 short days ago. Leaders have responded, and it was a case of implosion meeting rapture, as President William Ruto and his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua traded accusations that include talk of an attempted coup. We assess the Sabasaba aftermath that includes loss of lives, destruction of property, and the eruption of political rhetoric. Later on Sam Sense, we shall reflect on the concept of adulthood, especially political. On Kaikai's Kicker, who is the inciter between Nelson Koech and Kakan Mayo? On My Take, where are the coup plotters? Or shall we start with the effigies first? Jamila's memo tonight is X-rated and can only air after 11 p.m. The gang is here.
Hii fujo yote wananiletea. Mbona hawakuletea Kibaki? Mbona hawakuletea Uhuru? Mimi nimenyamaza, mimi nimewavumilia, lakini mahali imefika. Enough is enough. You can call me whatever names you want to call me, but I will make sure that there is peace and stability in Kenya by all means possible.
Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta were guided by the Constitution and the rule of law. They did not capture our constitutional institutions to work for them, instead of working for Kenyans. They never killed children. They never attempted to build churches in State House. They never organized militias to destroy people's property and kill them. That is why you have a problem. And we also want to remind you that Mwai Kibaki had a difficult time from you, William Ruto. Videos are everywhere. You cannot say that Mwai Kibaki did not face resistance. It's on record that you gave hell to President Kenyatta for 5 years. So it is hypocritical for you to allege that Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta had a very easy time. Most of the problems Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta had came from yourself, and it's on record.
What a week it has been. I think the highest number of deaths that we've witnessed during the protests in one day, just one day, 31 people were killed.
You've watched and listened to that video, ladies and gentlemen, of Yvonne Okwara. The only message William Ruto said, instead of coming up with a solution, is that that there's some people who are disturbing him right now. But when Kibaki was the president, he was not being disturbed. When Uhuru was the president, he was not being disturbed. I want to challenge him, even before I dig that video of Yvonne Okwara a little bit. You see, kuna msemo huwa usema, tenda wema nenda zako. Na watu si wajinga kukuja na huu msemo. Huu msemo humaanisha ya kwamba ukitenda wema, watu hawatashughulika na wewe. In fact, watazidi kukupenda. Watazidi kukuombea mazuri. Watazidi kukuelewa. Na watazidi kukufanyia mambo mazuri. Hiyo ndio inaitwa tenda wema nenda zako. Na hii tenda wema nenda zako huwa is being expected kwa kila mtu, as long as wewe ni binadamu, lazima uzingatie hayo. So the current head of state is not in this track. That is the truth. We lost life, 31 people in a day, has been said by Yvonne Okwara. Assume I was the president. I have that microphone. Then instead of finding a solution on how I can stop this mass of killing, I still speak and say, I have enemies who are fighting me back. Now they are jealous and greedy because I am in power. Yet you are the one who brought all this. The message is clear. You lack some time to solve this problem. We might blame wananchi, but what about you? Because you are the father of this nation, as I told you. You are the father of this nation. Ndio maana wanasema baba wa taifa ni wewe. The first in command in Kenya Defense Forces is you, the president. That position is not just a position. It is a position with a lot of respect. Today in Kenya, it seems that this position is just useless position. If we can create wrangles between ourselves and with the president also creating wrangles between himself and the wananchi, then we have no position here. During Kibaki's time, as he's mentioning them, I couldn't see when president speaking, people start quarreling. I couldn't see all this I am seeing in Ruto's time. That is the truth. And I want to challenge him as a coming leader in this country. Leadership is just transcend position. Leadership does not requires you to heckle around and just talk the way you want. In fact, I felt it so sad and bored when I listened to the current head of state saying, how watu wapigwe risasi miguu. I really wonder, and I'm still wondering up to now. We speak as if we own this life. Of course we don't own this life. That is the message. Each and every person living just through God's grace. You get the point? And that is why Yvonne Okwara is also bothering the same boat with us to give you this coded message. Stay humble in your leadership. Find a solution on how you can solve a problem. And if the problem cannot be solved, if Kenyans decide not to give you a chance, then go peacefully. You only go where you are welcome. You cannot live where you have been rejected, because they don't want your advices. Hata Uhuru aliwaambia watu waje. Ni nini Uhuru aliwaambia Wakenya hadi imeisha na bado wana regret hadi sasa? Wacha ule binadamu mwenye anajifanya yeye ni mwerevu, akuwe tu mwerevu. Lakini as long as ushampea hiyo advice, njia mzuri ni hii, atake kufuata hiyo njia, ni sawa. Wacha kukuja na your conclusion. Kuisho threat, this, that. That is what Yvonne Okwara is telling you, and that is what many of you are doing in this leadership. If you are not keen, at the end you will create chaos, and chaos will still continue. These people will demonstrate day in, day out, and you will do them nothing. Even if you will kill them 100 in a day. But remember, the blood which you shed today will be a curse to your family. Will be a curse to your family. And that is why I'm sorry to use this, but in quotes, due to YouTube guidelines, those females who always practice abortion, in sometimes in marriage, wakisha gundua kwamba ndoa ni rahisi, ndoa sasa si ati ndoa ni vizuri niingie kwa ndoa, wakipata mema unasikia miscarriage. hivi na hivi na hivi. I'm sorry to use that language. Kwa sababu ya tabia, kwa sababu ya kutojielewa. Wewe pia utakuwa hivi, hii serikali yako. Mbeleni huko, hata maybe after 2027, Wakenya wakiamua you are out, ndio utakuja reason. Nini nilikuwa nafanya? Haki nilikuwa nimechanganyikiwa. Munipigie kura. It will be late. Saa hiyo hauna namna hauna namna vile utarudi nyuma wala mbele. Because you refused to listen to whatever you are being told. Dunia lazima tukue na changamoto as long as sisi ni wanadamu. Manake tuliumbwa hivyo, na lazima tushikane mikono, tuelewane kama wananchi, tuelewane kama wanadamu, na tuwe na ile uwezo wa kurekebisha mienendo yetu ama tabia zetu. That is what we call leadership power. You lack that leadership power in you. And I think it is something which you can get it easily. If you only sit down and think of yourself, then it will be okay.